Yeah, I'm gonna start and then, now, you're saying that, but I bet you weren't speaking. Okay. Yeah, yeah. That's the second time in a row. Did we let you up there?
No,
Okay.
this is the presentation, right? Wait, come on, 69 or 40?
Vic? Brian has a question.
Because you guys are going to be presenting up there. They want
Oh, okay. So,
69?
Yeah, this is, I just plugged the flash drive in here and opened this, but this will be the only document. I have other files in the folder for you to pull them, but this is the one that
All right, you guys will be up there. If there's any comments, you have to let, if there's any public comments, they'll be at one of them.
okay. In terms of going through the slides, should one of us just be turn it because we know when to turn it? Or
You let me know. Unless you want, if you want, I'll have room if you want he's gonna go over kind of, the purview, what he wants to see and not. If you wanna run it, that's fine.
yeah, I mean, I'm familiar with at least what we'll be doing and what we're talking about, so I'm happy to do it if that works for you.
Good, that's fine, because they're gonna want at least somebody up there.
Okay, so whoever's speaking will be there and I'll be here.
Okay. We're good? He's live?
Everybody else is speak,
Okay. Okay, it is now officially 7:30, so we'll begin the meeting. Welcome to the meeting for the Skokie Appearance Commission of Wednesday, August 28th, a special meeting to hear one case, but we still have some housekeeping to do. Prior to that, does somebody want to make a motion to approve the minutes from the the August 14th? You gotta hit your button, Mary Jane.
I move to approve the minutes of our last meeting.
Anybody second? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Do we have a staff report on this one, Bri? Okay.
Yeah, staff report should be in the packet.
Sure. So here's what we're going to do. Anybody who plans on speaking tonight, whether you're with the petitioner or whether you're public, you need to stand up and be sworn in. If you're just here to observe government in action, then you can just stay sitting.
If you want to talk at all, you have to be sworn in, so very painless. Raise your right hand, please. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you give tonight will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Okay. That's item one. Item two, is there anybody here from the public not related to this case that wants to make a comment during the case? Because I don't want to overlook them if they're, okay, I don't see anybody at this time. They're always still welcome. The commissioner that just swore you in will be reading the report from the Community Development Department that pertains to the appearance.
The applicant is proposing multi-phase modifications at Westfield Old Orchard Shopping Center in a R1 single-family zoning district, a B1 service commercial zoning district, and a B4 regional mixed-use shopping zoning district. The development will add commercial space, residential units, and a hotel to the site. Phase 1 includes the demolition of the existing retail space at the northwest corner of the shopping center, 4963 Old Orchard Center and 4999 Old Orchard Center, Building J, and the construction of a 5- and 7-story mixed-use building in separate masses connected by multiple bridges and common areas. The mixed-use buildings will contain retail and restaurant uses, up to 425 multifamily residential units, residential amenity space, reconfigured internal driveways, and a new outdoor common area event space. Phase 2 includes the demolition of the existing retail space to the east of Phase 1, 4999 Old Orchard Center, Building H, and the construction of a 7-story mixed-use building that will contain retail and restaurant uses, 250 residential units, residential amenity space, and a parking garage. Another part of Phase 2 will be the construction of an 8-story mixed-use building that will contain retail and restaurant uses, a 200-key hotel, or up to 125 residential units, and reconfigured internal driveways. Overall, staff has no objections to the proposed elevations of the new buildings. At its August 15, 2024 meeting, the Plan Commission provided a positive recommendation to the Village Board to approve the multi-phase modifications at Westfield Old Orchard Shopping Center.
Okay, great. Thank you, Tom.
Yeah.
Before we have you come up and speak or present your case, we understand this has gone through Plan Commission. We're here just to talk about the aesthetics of the exterior stuff, so limit your presentation to that. I don't want to hear about parking or how great this is going to be for the community, okay? I just want to get to the fact of the matter here. One of my concerns is, just so we know when you're presenting, is what does Phase 1 look like without Phase 2 on it? Okay, because I don't know, we'll talk about that. I'd like you guys to tell us what your timetable is to do Phase 2. When I see Phase 1 and Phase 2, I know that it has to do about money. Because if it was infinite money, you would do them both right now and it wouldn't be multi-phase. So there's going to be a time gap, and I really want to make sure that it doesn't look, Phase 2 may never get built, who knows? Might have another pandemic, right? So I'm really concerned about, or curious, not concerned about what it would look like that way. So with that, we'll turn it over and give you 10-ish minutes to kind of tell us what's going on. I didn't mean to put you on the clock, but it should be all you need. And one other thing I want to say, we're familiar with the developers. We know they do great work. I've seen their work. I have no affiliation with them by any means, but I know that they do solid developments and solid looking structures. So with that, I'll turn it over to you.
Sure. And you want me to speak from here, correct?
Sure.
Okay.
Is her mic working?
Doesn't seem like it.
I think this one on the left.
Let's go over here. Go over here, Donna. This is fine.
Okay, or this
Don't worry about it. Yeah, that's fine.
Either way. Okay.
There we go.
All right, everything working? Good. Donna Pugh, I'm a partner with the law firm of Foley and Lardner in Chicago, representing the applicant, and I just wanted to say, as to the applicant, a lot of us know him by Westfield all these years, but you can also call them URW, because Unibile, Rodamco, and Westfield all merged into one. So feel free to refer to them either way. Now, I have had the opportunity to represent the shopping center since 1991, and so I've seen a lot of changes, and I just am so happy to be back for this big unveiling that we've been waiting for so long. So today, of course, we're seeking a certificate of appropriateness. As you well know, it sounds like everyone saw the Plan Commission hearing. We realize that the purview of the Appearance Commission is to see the exterior. I will say that the signage, the exterior facing signage, will be presented in detail at a later point, and that but we are going to give you some sneak peeks to the inside, because we think you'd want to see that as well. Okay, so who's here? And we have a lot of people here, but not very many of them will be speaking, but in addition to myself from Foley, my colleague Mike Noonan, from URW, Stephen Floor, Senior Vice President of Development for the whole shopping center and for Phase 2. From Focus, Tim Anderson, CEO and founder, there on the end, and also his colleague Vic Howe, who's at the moment manning the apparatus there. From the landscape architects, Mahan Reichel, Matt Renaud, right here. From our architects, which are Torty Gallis and partners, John Fisher, and he's the Director of Visualization. And now we'll have Stephen Floor address you.
Perfect. Thank you.
Evening all. Stephen Floor, Senior Vice President of Development for Westfield. Thank you for your compliments, first off.
Sure.
I've been with the company for 24 years, so we do try hard on the developments. I'll leave it at that. My piece is going to be very brief. I just want to provide a little bit of context so everybody knows where we're talking about it at the site. Obviously, everyone knows Old Orchard. The site as it is today, the building number 5 on your left is Nordstrom. Building number in the middle is, to the left is Nordstrom, middle is Macy's. Where we're going to be focused on is the box on the right in the red. It's comprised by the old Bloomingdale's building, where Forever 21, Barnes & Noble sits today, the old Tom's Price building, essentially up to Cheesecake Factory for the first phase. And then the second phase is Cheesecake Factory further to the east. Go ahead, let's get on to the, so I've got the worst looking slides that you're going to look at tonight, which essentially is the mall as it is today. And again, it's just all contextual. Here we're showing the existing Bloomingdale's box as it is today. You know, we've relocated them to another part of the mall, shrunk them down, got them out of the way. We're going to be focused on, obviously, looking at the facades along Laverne. And then if you can go on to the next slide here, really along the entirety of Old Orchard Road. As Donna mentioned, we do want to show you kind of what the whole look and feel looks like on the inside as well, because we're creating this new place here. Happy to address the timing piece with you right now, phase 1 and phase 2, if you'd like.
Sure.
Yeah, just so between the phases, and this is, we do this all over the place, even infinite money would not have us do 2 phases all at once, because it's actually about how much you can build at once and then absorb in the marketplace as we're bringing in new types of density to the site. Retail is one thing, right? Retail, you can kind of build a whole wing to the size that you're going to want it. As we're bringing in the multifamily, you only want to do up to a certain amount, get that done, built, and then move into your next phase. And that is our intention, is that we finish phase 1, that begins to stabilize, and at that point, we're beginning into phase 2. It's definitely to our benefit at the site to complete the entirety of the work as fast as we can, because we don't want to just stretch out the work on the site. We do genuinely want to just move from one phase into the next.
So everybody's committed, I know this will be on the record, but it's not binding, but everybody's committed to get into phase 2.
Yeah, so, listen, it's going to be about the economics of the time. To your point is, if we have another pandemic.
There's a history just down the street of a couple of developments that tripped and
Understand.
stumbled.
Yes,
So I just want
understand.
to make sure that we don't trip and stumble, that's all.
Yeah, certainly not our intention for the site. Our intention for the site is that we do make this investment, build what we want to show you here tonight.
Perfect.
We think that's really beneficial to the site as a whole to keep it a strong retail asset.
Okay.
That's it for my piece, though. So I'm going to turn it over to Tim so he
Great.
can start talking about the architecture piece.
Thanks.
Thanks, Stephen. My name's Tim Anderson. I'm the CEO and founder of Focus. We're a 31-year-old company, been on the North Shore for a long time. Actually did the little building across the street from Village Inn years ago in Skokie, you know, where the next to Haven Funeral Home.
Right.
And so we're really have done a lot of work on the North Shore. But the other thing I would say is distinctive about our company is we are currently involved with 2 malls in redeveloping and introducing multifamily and mixed use into Hawthorne Mall and into Fox Valley Mall. So we have some experience. There's some uniqueness to working in malls, you gotta understand. So I understand we're talking most about aesthetics, so I'm not gonna go any further
Sure.
than that, unless you have any questions.
No.
Okay, so this is actually the site that we're gonna be working on in phase 1, 2 phases. First, and you can see it's the Bloomingdale's box, the Barnes & Noble, and then the, where is it, the small buildings below that. And all those, as Stephen indicated, they'll work with tenants to relocate them as needed. Next is, all right, so here's the building. It's one building, but it's 2 portions. And the uniqueness about this building, I think, is that what we've created is that you come off Old Orchard either way, you come down Laverne, and then the residential drop-off or pickup goes into this motor court where there's a turnaround here, and then they go out back again. So they don't enter into the whole mall traffic pattern, you know, which we're trying to avoid. And the other uniqueness is this is kind of a very intimate private street, and we have maisonettes off of there. A maisonette is like a single loaded townhome where you have living, dining on the first floor, kitchen on the first floor, and then upstairs you've got your bedrooms, and you have a front door. So this really creates a streetscape here, which really feels like homes. And on the North Shore, people are going to want to feel like a home. But they can go out their back door and get into the access to the amenities, the parking, everything else without ever going outside. So we've done this product recently in Oak Park, and it's really been successful. 16,600 square feet of retail here. This is actually a covered area for the turnaround, and this is a pedestrian connection from here going on this access feeding into the mall across the town green here, which is a little over a half an acre public space. These have courtyards on the inside. We're gonna be dealing mostly with the outside here and here. The other thing to note is there's the multi-use pathway that's Cook County is putting in here right now, which is gonna be cool to connect over here where it ends at Skokie Boulevard over to the Forest Preserve. And
Is that a county project or a state project?
That's county.
It's county.
Hmm.
And
Surprising.
this is interesting, we're putting our bike room here and our dog spa here, and then we have a dog park out here, and then the bike room here will give you ready access to that.
Get over
thing.
to Harms.
So, that's the idea. Our loading is off of here and here, and they're enclosed loading spaces, they're not open to the outside. So, let's go to the next slide. This kind of shows you so we have retail's 2 stories high, so it's 20 feet high roughly, so you can get 2 stories of residential equal 1 story of retail. And above that, on the 3rd floor, is a connecting device, which is our deck with our pool, that's the deck, and this jewel box of a fitness area here, and lounge spaces, co-working spaces, all the amenities are right around that. And the idea is that this covers the turnaround, this also is a covered walkway that leads to the town green, and it makes a connection to this town green space on a different level, visually and every other way. And this is a 3-story bridge that connects across the motor court, that connects the north building to the south building.
Is there a reason why you want to connect that there?
Yeah, because we want people to walk right from their parking level across. The parking level's on the 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 7th, and 6th floors. So they park, and they walk right across
That's
indoors.
south of the whole thing.
Correct,
I
and
got it.
parking's down
Yep,
here,
yep,
and
yep,
it butts
Yep,
up to
makes
us.
complete sense now, okay, got
Right.
it.
The other thing I'll say is that this is building's a 5-story, this is a 7-story building, and the idea is you're stepping down as you get to the corner. Let's go to the next slide. So this gives you, this is phase 2, so let's just pay attention to phase 1 here. But this is the architecture. The idea is, this is just a placeholder, as Donna said, we'll come back to you for that in the future. But here's your mixed use, multi-use pathway in here. So we have unique elements that have been put at the corners, here and here, really accentuating the horizontal. And then we have these natural colors of simulated wood siding in here. And then these protruding balconies, which kind of give you that residential feel and break up the elevations.
Excuse me.
And next, if we go, this is actually the north elevation facing Old Orchard. So you can see these corner elements, you see this, you see the main body here, and then you can see this is phase 2. This is a new street that we're adding in here. And then as you turn and go around the corner, this is now facing Laverne. And you can see that we have a 5-story building, which is 60 feet tall, a 7-story building, which is 80 feet tall. And as a benchmark, the parking tower on the other side of the parking garage where that glass stair is, that's 80 feet tall. So that, I'll show you that later.
So, while you're here, so, on the bottom drawing, it looks like we're going from right to left on the bottom drawing. It looks like you're blending in, as we get to the left, some sort of a transition area of finishes to get to phase 2, correct?
Correct. And it starts becoming a family
I just wanted to
of.
point that out to everybody, because
Yeah.
because phase 2 is much lighter color than phase 1,
Yeah.
and
Right.
but you're blending it there, so, okay.
Right, and we're trying to do this
Yep.
family of materials, a vocabulary of materials. This is actually the motor court, so you drive in under this bridge, and then you get to the turnaround in the back. The next slide actually shows it better, I believe. So
Can you
this-
go, I'm sorry, go back to the other slide. So is, I know you're focused, and you're not really focused on the very far right of the top drawing, but is Westfield doing anything with the face of that parking garage to help? If you understand, you know where I'm going, right?
Crystal clear. Yeah, so
Do we have a photo of that garage or not?
I don't know that we have, I don't think we do in this.
It's
Yeah,
kind of just a
so-
white painted
It is today, so.
Is that the orange garage or what?
That is the orange garage, where we are gonna be doing the nested parking for the residential. It's still gonna be used for the retail
Are
as
you
well.
gonna do something to paint it? or-
There is gonna be improvement done to the garage. We haven't finished the
That's
design
fine.
of what that
I
looks
just
like
wanna
yet.
make sure it's
Yeah.
something that
There-
makes sense, so it looks like it's part of it.
That's
Even
right.
even though you don't want it to be
No.
completely part of it, you want it to,
Yeah, not just on this
Identify.
facade either, by
Okay.
the way, particularly on the inside facade that you're
Right.
gonna see from the town green.
Right.
When we take those buildings down on the inside of the mall,
It'll
you'll have
expose it
a
all.
straight
Right.
shot to the orange
Right.
garage there. So we've already been discussing
okay.
about what we can do to
Sounds
that.
good, that's
Yeah.
all I had, thanks.
So this actually shows in three-dimensional a representation of the drive in motor court, the bridges, and you can see how we're doing some overhangs, balconies, and overhangs even on the horizontal that kind of create that horizontal nature to the building, which is probably more conducive to the mall itself. This is now a section through the motor court, so you can see this is the building to the north, so it would be the south elevation of the building to the north. And these are those masonettes, which will be like cast stone materials. And then this is the deck that overlooks the green, which is right here, the town green, which is here. This is the other way, looking back at the seven-story building, so that would be the north elevation of the seven-story building. And you'll see again this kind of pavilion on top of the deck, which you'll see when you drive through the motor court. Again, stone facing, precast stone here, and then a walkway that is covered that goes over here, and then there's retail spaces on either side of that walkway.
Got it.
And this is kind of a really an important rendering, because it kind of gives you the sense of the town green in a completed state. So this is phase two. This is that pool deck that I talked about that overlooks it, covered walkway. And then we have this access here with these fountains, and then we have hardscape and green space along in the town green, and then adjacencies to retail will be activated with eating and other things. Hopefully, food and beverage will be a real major component of the retail in this
And that
area.
access runway runs all the way to Crate and Barrel, is that correct?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
That's correct.
Right through it or past it, okay.
And that's right here, so you're looking, yeah, so it goes all the way by there and past the backside of Cheesecake Factory
That'll
on
be a
it.
cool look.
Yeah, and this access kind of feeds right into the residential. This is a datum line that we're creating for the retail. It's a very tall retail, so it's about 20 feet, 21 feet to the first floor, floor to floor, so that's probably 8 feet clear. So it's high retail, quality retail, and then still have this will be a calming device where we'll have a raised, area to walk people across, but also calm the traffic down, so it's safe. There's another view at the pedestrian level. Here you can actually see the turnaround beyond the covered walkway. This kind of gives you a good idea, and how people up here will really kind of have some nice, that kind of eyes on the street concept. Here the materials are called out on the elevations. This is that stair tower I was talking about that exists today, that's remaining, and that's that 80-foot datum line that you
Yeah, we're
pick up.
looking west now.
Correct, looking west. And this is an interior elevation, it's not something that's exposed really to the outdoors. Here are our materials. Our materials are, we're using fiber cement panels, and there's some really creative ways that you can use that in a very clean look in a gridded structure like this, or we're using simulated wood fiber cement, which gives you that kind of warmth that you can add into an elevation. We've used this a lot. It's a great material. It's very durable. You can add textures. You can do things with detailing and reveals that really make it a very good material that can create a wide vocabulary of details and motifs within the elevations. More towards the base, you have cast stone, we have light brick, then we have dark brick, and then these metal colors vary between these storefront frames, the defining openings, if we have metal trim around openings, as well as trim and coping. Going to phase two.
Can we go back to the materials? one
Sure.
time? What materials that we're looking at there are also in phase two?
Phase two, we have another board for phase two.
I know, but is there anything here that's going into phase two?
Yes, there are, well, I think
That was
these
a trick
are,
question for you.
these are,
Cut you off guard, didn't I?
yeah, you did, you know. I knew you were gonna catch me at some point, right? Didn't
But I
take
just
long.
want, you know, I mean,
Yes.
it would help that there are a couple things to make it congruous, so that's.
This is, okay,
Okay.
you can see the white grid
Yeah.
that's going across. The metals are, the
Okay.
brick is. Anything else, John?
No, that's enough. You wouldn't want it to be 100%.
The cast stone as well. Cast stone,
Okay.
we're using the same cast stone. So,
Okay, cool. Now you can go to next slide.
so one thing just to be aware of, the red represents phase two. Now you can see the overlap here, and the reason is that because we want to produce a finished product in, to your point earlier, in phase one, these areas are going to be landscaped, and it will look like they're contiguous and congruent with the town green to the south. And so that means that this will look in a finished state, then we start phase two, this gets
Yeah.
redone based with the new architecture.
Gotcha.
Now, this is not as a developed a rendering as the other renderings, but this was in response to the question about what does phase one look like without phase two?
Alone, right.
And so this, you're looking at, this is, I think, Lamone Street here. I don't know if I said that properly, but right around here is where you're looking back,
Mm-hmm.
and this is what you will see. And if we go to the next view, it's a little bit farther around, looking a little bit more south. This is the professional office building tower in this location. And then this is the Laverne and Old Orchard corner without phase two, and without the sign in there right now.
Okay.
But, so that gives you an idea of what phase
Yep.
one looks like without phase two.
Thank you.
Now, in terms of the planning for phase two, we have a wrap building here where we have the residential parking in a structure, multi-level parking structure, 38 retail spaces like teaser parking on the first floor. And then we wrap this building where we have, this case, we're using the masonettes again on the first two floors, and then two-story retail here. And then the parking is up above that. And then here, you've got the hotel, which is an 8-story building. This is 7 stories, about 250 units, correct? And then we have an 8-story hotel of about 200 keys. And the retail, as you can see, is primarily oriented towards the street or towards the town green. And then this is really the third floor, which corresponds to that same level over here on phase one, where we create an open courtyard facing south with a pool for the residential. Here's the multi-level parking structure here. And then you can see here, the pool here is for the hotel users. And then you also have outdoor space here where if they had a dining area, they can overlook this screen. And really, it becomes an intersection of those two spaces on multiple levels. So this is actually the phase two building, looking from Old Orchard, looking east. Old Orchard, and then this is a straight-on view where we have Lamone going under the building in kind of a framed entry of that street going and connecting to the mall interior street system. And again, you can see those elements that you were talking about that are repeated from
Right.
the first building. This is an elevation from Old Orchard, the north elevation, again, very similar to that rendering you just saw. Balconies protruding out, really mixture of materials. Again, this kind of gridded expression which marries with this well. 5-story here, 7-story. So we're bringing 5 stories down to the corner at Laverne and Old Orchard. The last meeting, Plan Commission, somebody referred to that street, North-South Street, as Shirley. I can't, every time I say Laverne, I say Laverne and Shirley. But it's, so that's this street right here, the North Street on over here. And then we have, this is phase two, and then this is the town green. And this really, I think, captures the spirit of what we're trying to do, which is green space, hard surfaces, activated by retail, activated by people looking down on it. And you can see, even here, having a pedestrian access from the hotel up to that upper level, these things overlooking it. It's gonna be a dynamic space that doesn't exist anywhere in this area. And this is, let me start with this one. This is the east elevation. So this dotted line represents the California Pizza Kitchen Capitol Grill building and how it protrudes out if you're at Skokie Boulevard. So it covers somewhat of the hotel here, but this stuff would be exposed to,
I see what you're doing. Okay.
to
Yeah,
Skokie
yeah,
Boulevard.
Yep, yeah.
And you can see the view's kind of taken across that parking lot to here. And then this is actually a view of the west elevation of Phase 2 and the hotel. You can see the upper deck, the town green here. This is a pedestrian level view kind of from the southwest, well, it's kind of the, I guess, the west side of the town green, looking back up that axis, going towards the first phase building, this being the Phase 2 building. Here's that staircase going up and that outdoor seating area up here, as well as covered seating down here. The retail will be in here. These are interior elevations. So this is the one from the south side of the hotel, and this is the actual from the south side of the Phase 2 residential building. Materials, again, real similar. So the base is really kind of a unifying concept. The metal colors are a unifying concept. And then we start varying with some of the fiber cementish material.
Bless you.
This is the same. We're keeping keeping the same, the major materials down here, the base. And then within the hotel itself, again, we get some opportunities to bring in some other palettes that'll be sympathetic, but not the same. Last but not least is the photometrics, which really we're talking about mostly the outdoors, the street lights, which we do comply with the cutoff material, the cutoff that is required by the village, and light fixtures that are used more interior are described here. So I think that's it. And then I'm going to have Matt talk about the, Matt Renaud talk about the landscaping.
Thank you, Tim.
Absolutely.
Good evening, Matt Renaud with May and Reichel Associates. We're the landscape architects on the project. We're going to walk you through the two phases of the landscape for the project. Tim already did a great job kind of mentioning all of the different components, but in Phase 1, as mentioned before, we have...
Matt, don't split it into phases. Just walk us through it really quick,
Sure.
through the whole thing and
Sure. So the approach to the landscape is quite simple. We're really trying to complement the buildings. So you saw all the horizontal lines and elements. We're using that same approach for the landscape. So you'll see layered landscape elements, walls, landscape, and other elements to tie in with the buildings and to layer in program and activities. We're also trying to unify the exterior with the interior courtyards. We've got two courtyards in each of one courtyard in each of the north and the south building, and then back to the town green as well. You can go to the next slide, Vic. Ultimately, with Phase 2, as Tim had mentioned, you can see kind of the completion of the town green and the extension of the streetscapes around the Phase 2 buildings. The next one. One of the pieces of our palette will be to use the planting palette, bring in native plantings to create seasonal color, interest, and texture in the landscape. As I mentioned before, having that seasonality to the plantings is going to be very interesting. We've seen some of that already at the Lord and Taylor building. We'll be kind of bringing that here to the center piece of the town green and the perimeter of the buildings as well. So here at Phase 1, again, Old Orchard to the top, we've got the residential streetscape with the community trail. We have the placeholder for the sign at the corner. And on the western side along Laverne, we have some of the amenities for the building. So as the team had mentioned, we've got the bike room and the dog park there. And then we'll see in the lighter color, we've been working with the fire department to create fire access for the building. So that open lawn there allows fire trucks to service the building. On the northeast corner, to the right, we have the walk-up units leading up, but again, kind of transitioning around the building from a residential streetscape to retail streetscapes on the right-hand side and the bottom. Go to the next one, Vic. With the Phase 2 building, again, with the motor court kind of at the top here, again, with the masonette units, again, a very unique experience and more of a human-skilled type of experience there for residents. We have our residential streetscape again on the western side of the building, and then on the eastern side of the building, again, you can see that pass-through going underneath the buildings with the plaza that connects to the town green. We have a tabletop intersection again to slow traffic and promote that pedestrian connection, and then a very strong connection between the architecture and the landscape and the street to engage the retail uses of the building as well. The town green, this is phase one. Again, the main feature is that diagonal connection that runs through the park space and connects to the mall. That will feature potentially fountains, a stage, and other elements, but what we've really tried to do is to layer in flexibility and program into the town green. So to the south is the event lawn. At the center, kind of this trapezoidal space, is the stage, and then to the north here is kind of the flexible plaza. And then as Tim had mentioned, this is the temporary installation, so we've got kind of movable furnishings and activities that still engage with the existing building, and a temporary lawn space that will eventually be removed for the completion of phase two. So again, kind of the phase two buildings, actually, Vic, why don't you just land on the next slide? I think that's probably just the best job. So again, kind of with the completion of phase two, you can see that the engagement of the new street and the phase two buildings with the town green. And really what we're trying to do with the landscape, again, is to not only connect the buildings to the street, but also use the landscape kind of as the guiding element that links the new buildings also with the existing mall as well. So with that, I'm going to turn it back over to.
Looks great. Looks really good. Does any of you commissioners have any questions from what you've heard so far? Julie, anybody?
That drive that is Lamont from Old Orchard, does that continue to that street so you can get through that way, or is there a turnaround in the phase two? Does it end, or can you go straight through?
When you come
From
along,
Old Orchard?
when you're turning in from Old Orchard onto Lamont, that'll come into our ring road.
Okay.
Right.
So you can go straight through in there?
Yeah, you'll go straight through the building itself. There's a keyhole in that building, so the roadway doesn't move at all. That road, and it's there today, so it's gonna stay in that same alignment. Yeah.
I don't have any questions.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's very, just real quick, I just want to ask one more time, is there anybody here from the public who wants to speak? Okay, that's all I wanted to know. Everybody else is copacetic on what it looks like, and you like the landscaping? All right,
What are
then.
the materials on the balcony? Are they metal? Are the balcony rails
I'm
metal?
sorry?
Are the balcony rails metal?
Yes, balcony railings will be metal.
They're metal.
Well, I think it's a great presentation. Thanks for keeping it just to what we requested from aesthetics presentation. I wish you good luck. I think it's going to be awesome.
Colors are great.
Yes,
I don't quite understand what buildings are going to be removed for phase two, please.
I'll let them address it, but that was on an earlier slide.
Yeah, happy to address it, to describe. So, the phase two building, if you think of the site today, thank you.
I can go back to.
There was a better slide.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if you want going back a little further.
The locations.
This one, yeah.
Feel free to walk up to the screen. There you go.
Tenant names,
So, for the phase two buildings,
Tenant names.
yeah, that are there now.
using there today, essentially it's Cheesecake Factory.
Right.
And then we have two empty spaces here on the end that these buildings get rid of. Yeah, so all of the tenants, all I'll say about it is that we are in communication with any tenant that's impacted for relocation, moving somewhere else in the center. This has been a multi-year process for us, talking with the tenants.
Yes.
But that's as far as it goes. It's essentially the Cheesecake Factory building, because they're up on the two floors of that building. And there is the former Zara space down below that's, the Zara's already relocated.
And Barnes and Noble.
That's
Barnes and
gone.
Noble is in the phase one building, and we're in conversation with them about their new location on site as well. Yeah, you're welcome.
Okay, great. Any other questions from the gallery?
There we go.
Yes, Mary Jane?
Has there been an attempt to use native plants or cultivars of native plants when you can?
Matt?
There is, that will be the basis of our palette, so all native planting or adaptive cultivars for the project.
I think that's what you led with. You said you're
Yeah.
going to be using native plant. Okay.
Thank you.
Great. All right. if there's no more questions, and does somebody feel like making a motion? And it's a single case, this isn't just for, it's not phase one and phase, it's a combined case of phase one and phase two, so it's not two separate cases. Go ahead, Jewel.
Okay. I make a motion that a certificate of appropriateness be granted in case 2024-039A at 4999 Old Orchard Center as presented.
Anybody second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No opposed, so passed. All right, great, good luck, everybody.
Thank you very much.
Great job on the presentation, good luck at your next stop, which will be back in this room. All right, thank you, guys, and ladies. Sorry about that.
That's awesome.